You're listening to First Paso. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first paso.
Welcome to First Paso, a show where we learn together how to take that first paso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olusola, and I'm back. Y'all, I have not recorded literally since May, and a lot has gone on since then, but I am here, I am back, I am in it in faith. I've been scared to do this in video format, but you know what? We're going to try this out. So show me some grace, because we might see this evolve over some time, but God going to do what he do, okay? So this particular season is going to be on seasons of transition, okay? The reason why I have felt impressed to do a season specifically on transitions is because I've been in a ton of transitions since, I'm going to say 2021. You guys know that have been OG listeners here that I used to be a practicing pharmacist in the state of Kentucky. And God called me out of that space in August of 2021. And I have been speaking, life coaching, podcasting, doing content creation since that time. What you probably don't know that I did not reveal is that in that time of doing this new work, if you will, by October of 2022, God actually called me to leave the state of Kentucky and move to California. And so now I am a SoCal girl. I've been out here since the top of 2023, January 31st to be specific. And it has been a wild journey. That transition from hearing from God, and I quote, "Your time in Kentucky is done. It's time to go to California," to coming to California in November of 2022 and praying to make sure that I heard what I heard, getting tons of confirmation while out here, going back to Kentucky after Thanksgiving to quickly pack up, sell stuff, get rid of stuff out of my place, and head out here in faith, not knowing why I was moving, was not scary, but I was anticipating something different and big, simply because God has never told me to move and not tell me why. So I came out here, landed at LAX, and recorded a video saying, "Lord, okay, I'm here, so what we doing?" And it's only crazy until it happens, whatever it is that we're doing. Okay. So I did that and started working alongside my older brother in a community that he started, originally called Imagine LA, now called Gather. Gather has been such a transformative part of my life, and I didn't realize that was such a huge call on me coming here, because that group actually felt that God had called me to lead them, and I found out when I got here. So after praying, fasting, asking God for clarity on my end, he gave me a big yes, and I have been director of the Gather LA movement since then. And we have also already this year launched a group in New Jersey. We're looking into other cities, urban cities all over the U.S. Hopefully this will go global. That is our prayer, and that is what we believe God is calling us to do. But that has been a huge part of my journey here. So I wanted to talk about these transitions for me because it has come with a lot of ups and downs that I'm not completely sure I was prepared for, but I want to kind of sit and marinate in what it can sometimes look like in transition. So, transitions are those middle spaces between point A and point B. That section in between A and B can sometimes seem a little fuzzy, and that can be a challenge. I often have called this the wilderness season, and sometimes the wilderness season is quick, sometimes it's really long, and sometimes super discouraging. And it comes with a lot of emotions. That's something that I think we don't think a lot about, is that we're not always prepared for what emotions are going to come up when during a season of transition. It's going to depend on what the transition is, where we're going towards, whether we actually know where we're going or not, if we have an idea, a plan, a vision, a dream, whatever it is that is driving us towards point B. The in-between can be filled with questions, expectation, doubt, fear, frustration, confusion, insecurity, and lots of tears. This season of transition has been all of those things, plus excitement, plus happiness, plus joy, plus community. It's come with a lot of things. And all of those things are allowed to coexist in a season of transition. Seasons of transition don't always just affect us. Oftentimes, when we go through a season of transition, we are affecting other people. When I left Lexington, Kentucky, and came out to Los Angeles, I was affecting my community back there, which was my church community called Bluegrass Connections Church, which if you are ever in the Lexington area, I highly recommend that you look for them and go to their church service on Saturday mornings. They're such a sweet group. Love them. Shout out to all of you guys back home in Lexington. I love and miss you guys so much. But I had to leave them, and at a parting message for them, I cried like a baby delivering that message Sabbath morning. And they felt that. They felt my departure. And yet, in other seasons where I've had to depart a thing, I've had to wrestle, and I've matured over time with the realization that if I'm leaving a place from their perspective, from God's perspective, I'm going to a new place because I've been called to go there. They're going to be replenished. They're going to be provided what they need when they need it in the capacity that they need it. So I don't necessarily have to be concerned that I'm leaving them high and dry. Yeah, those emotions might come up, and you might feel like you're abandoning people in the point A of your life when going to the point B. But that doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong. It doesn't mean that you're making a mistake. I mean, it could be if it's not really what you're supposed to be doing, or you didn't really think it through, or really talk to your mentors and coverings, if you will, of trusted people, or if you didn't even pray about it, for those of you that are believers. I genuinely believe that when we leave a thing, or we go to a new thing, which feels like a leaving from the other person's perspective, that those left behind will be taken care of as best as we can. And we can just pray for their provision. And I'm so glad that I followed the Lord on this, because I've seen how Bluegrass Connection Church, or lovingly known as BCC, they're flourishing, they're growing. Those spots that are being filled that I had before are thriving. They're growing in leaps and bounds, and I'm so happy. What if me being disobedient to the call to Los Angeles led them to not getting to grow the way that they're growing now? It took my departure, my obedience, and the obedience of others who were also called to leave to see this abundance come. I genuinely believe that. And I think it's like that for a lot of areas that deal with seasons of transition. Now, I do want to sit a little bit on the emotional and mental side of transition. I recently, on my Instagram and in my community group, Gather LA, was open to share a diagnosis that I got in high school, my senior year of high school, back in 2007, 2008. We didn't say it like that back then. We just said 2007, 2008, by the way, for some of y'all that remember the good old days, okay? But back in 2007, 2008, I was diagnosed with a condition called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And this is classified in the DSM-5 as a type of depression. In moving out to California, I have had to wrestle with this condition. I've had to wrestle with the ups and downs of how I have been handling this transition in light of the condition that I have to fight through every day. Because the season of transition is so different. I mean, I left my steady 9 to 5. I am not doing anything in public health outside of #Pizza's Not Working podcast and advocacy work for the field of pharmacy and their safe work conditions, which you can look up that podcast. I'll put it in the description box below and also in the show notes for those that are listening audio only. But I'm doing advocacy work for pharmacy, and I am on the Kentucky Board of Pharmacy's Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, building curriculum for pharmacists to learn about different aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion that affect healthcare, and specifically pharmacy. So I'm doing those things, and I'm also trying to record in a new place when I had a groove in my home in Kentucky that I could just set up, plug in, and it took me a while to figure that out. And so right when I was already feeling like I was in the kindergarten of this transition out of healthcare and into content creation, I was put into another one, which meant living with family, living in a new place, figuring out a new setup, knowing if that was going to be possible to record in the way that I would like to, and feeling like I'm doing a good thing while out here, feeling like I'm managing this community that I'm leading well, seeing that I am learning something new about recording or about putting out content, the updates and what's going on in content creation world. Like, not gonna lie, I have been so scared. I've been scared, I've been nervous, and have somewhat stalled in restarting this podcast because of those things, while also figuring out the balance of not living by myself anymore and living with family. So wanting to be respectful of them and their space, and how can I help, and how do I adjust my schedule around their schedule, and then still do what I need to do. And it's like all these things that I don't know what I was thinking when I moved out here. Honestly, I don't remember, but I didn't think I would get so overwhelmed. And I know part of that overwhelm was because I also have a condition that can make stress feel more stressful, can make anxiousness feel more anxious. And it is my cross to bear. I am stronger for it. When I feel weak, I remember that I'm strong. At least I try to. And if I don't remember, I reach out to the people that I trust and believe and that love me, for me, to remind me that the acknowledgement of my weaknesses does make me strong, despite not really understanding every single aspect of a transition season. I want us this season to really marinate, sit in the discomfort of how seasons of transition can truly be a struggle and also fun at the same time. Sometimes the ratios are not as balanced as we would like. Let's be honest here, okay? They're not always fun, but they can be. And there can be seasons within the seasons of transition that are more positive than negative, more confusing than enlightening. It can be a mixed bag. And that's okay. I've cried a lot in the last year and a half. A lot. I have gotten angry a lot. I have questioned my insanity to follow the Lord like this, because I know not everyone understands, myself included. But I believe and am walking in the reality that seasons of transition are free game for growth. Seasons of transition are free game for evolution. Seasons of transition are free game to be more of the person you truly are, that staying in point B would have never revealed to you. Sorry, not point B, but staying in point A. If you stay in point A, staying in point A feels comfortable oftentimes. We have all of our usual hangouts there, usual people, usual mindsets, usual conversations. Point B is so unknown. And I'll post a link to Into the Unknown, which is an episode I did a couple years ago, right when I was leaving the field of pharmacy. But that's the cool thing. Seasons of transition are like blank canvases. And a palette of colors. For my birthday this year, I got a container of 180 colored pencils, and I got several coloring books. that were gifted to me. And that's what the wilderness season felt like when I left pharmacy. This is what this season of transition feels like. And to be honest, I don't think I'm in a season of wilderness anymore. I think I'm learning how to take what I did learn in my season of wilderness and navigating the point B of my life with this new information. There's still more to learn and grow in the point B of my transition. But the tools that I gained in the wilderness have made getting to the promised land so much better, so much easier. And maybe a few months to years from now, I'll look back on this and go, no, that was still kind of wilderness. You were just further into it, you know? I'm not really sure. But what I will say is that I'm definitely not in the kindergarten stage of this anymore. Probably more like second or third grade. But that's the joy of having a season of transition. As long as you take it seriously, but not so seriously that you don't have time to laugh and connect with people around you, and to connect with yourself as you're growing and learning more about you. As long as you lean into that, discomfort and all, I think it's worth it. I think it's genuinely worth all the tears, all the laughter, all the frustration, all the excitement that transitioning brings. I want to also be clear. Seasons of transition don't have to be from one physical place to another physical place. Sometimes seasons of transition are mindsets. There are mindsets that we have as children that we don't and or shouldn't have when we're teenagers. There are thoughts and beliefs that we have as teenagers that we don't and or shouldn't have in adulthood. There are thoughts and beliefs that we hold as adults that we don't and or should not carry into our golden years. As life progresses one day to another, we should have opportunity to grow, learn something new, evolve in our thinking, and become secure in who we are outside of what anyone says about us, positive or negative. Seasons of transition, though you could have community, sometimes you're alone. Sometimes you're very much alone, at least in your thoughts. You might be with people and those people not understand. They might not even agree with your season of transition. They might be adamant that you're doing the wrong thing. And sometimes they're right, not gonna lie. Sometimes it's holding on to what you believe in your heart. Well, not in your heart, in your spirit. Because the heart is deceitful above all else. But to believe in your spirit that this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And if it all fails, There's a multitude of places that you can go, things that you can do. The canvas of opportunities is out there. The colors, the pictures we can draw. It's so endless. We might feel it has to be in a certain way, in an exact order, and be here by this time, and this time, and this time, and this time, and this should be happening. This should be. As you get older, you realize that this is part of that maturing process I was telling you about. You start to realize that there are better priorities than just sticking to the plan. The plan is very helpful. Not gonna lie, it helps us organize our thoughts and execute action. But to get so bogged down in making sure the plan works, or the expectation works, or the way that you think it's going to be to work, that's where we pigeonhole ourselves into possible great disappointment. But to realize that this is a canvas. It's a canvas of opportunity. That though we have these ideas, these thoughts, creating art, intentional art, should affect our thoughts. They should affect our emotions. Because creativity is expressive. It might start off a little chaotic, and that's okay. There might be seasons of calm, and you have your golden yellows and your robin egg blues. Sometimes it's just fire truck red. But that's what makes each season of transition unique, and unique to you, unique to all of us. I've done a lot of transitions in my life, more than I've probably shared on this podcast. And I'm sure there's going to be times for me to share those things. However, I will say that mentally, who I was when I recorded Into the Unknown, and who I am right now in this moment, in June of 2024, when this is being recorded. It's actually Juneteenth today. I can already see how my mind, even with PMDD, has gotten stronger. I have more peace in my heart and in my soul than I've ever had before. I'm still learning and growing in myself as a young woman, but I'm proud of what I have overcome. I am proud of what the wilderness has taught me. Excited for more of what this promised land has in store for me. And I want to take you guys along the journey. Yeah. You guys are awesome. You guys have seen me navigate a lot of changes. It's affected a lot of relationships. It's changed dynamics that I wish could have stayed the exact same. And it's highlighted areas of my life that I realize I actually still need healing for. I need to heal more while also being the best I can be in this season. So watch me. Watch me try. You can take some pages out of my book. But I'm sitting on this side of this mic. And I'm telling you, it's worth it. Whether you're transitioning and it's a mistake, or you're transitioning and it's hard, or you're transitioning and it's super easy, or you're transitioning and it's a mix of those things. It's worth it if you go into it and remain in it, wanting to be a better version of you than you were ever before. And I can sit here today and say, that is an intentionality that I have held. I have remained in. I have fought through. Which has made these seasons of transition worth it. So here's to accountability, guys. I was scared to do this, and my best friend Jonelle, which I will absolutely have on the show soon because yes, I called her in tears, just frustrated with myself, and she said, girl, get up and work on your recording and get going with that podcast. And that's how this episode started. This is how season 6 of First Paso podcast came about. I wasn't even going to record a whole episode. I just turned on the mic to check it. I was going to do a test recording, and then I liked how I sounded in my ear. I like how the mic sounds, and I was like, you know what? We're just going to make this a whole episode. So I'm not makeuped. I haven't done my hair. I'm in my sweatshirt and everything. Like, I literally just sat down and pressed record. So I'm learning. I'm trying. Hopefully this will evolve over time and how it looks and everything. But right now, I just want to make sure I'm putting out quality content and being authentic to who I am, whether you guys post positive comments about this or not. Like, I'm learning that I don't want to be swayed by the externals, people's fears, people's concerns, people's excitement and love for me and what I do, criticism and all that. Like, I don't want to be swayed. And what I mean by that is I don't want the commentary of those around me about me, positive or negative, while I'm in this transition to cause me to lose my footing in order to remain steadfast in this season of transition for however long it is. I want to remain. And that is my charge to you. Ask yourself these questions. 1, are you in a season of transition right now? Acknowledge that if you are. Be honest about the fact that that's what you're doing, that's what you've been called to do, or that's what you should be doing, and you're stalling, like I did with this video podcasting. Number 2, how are you mentally and emotionally in this season? Give words, terms, color, clarity to what you're actively going through in your mind, body, and spirit. It's not for pride's sake or anything. It is literally to be self-aware. To have self-control, you need to be self-aware. So you know what you need to control of yourself. Okay. So be honest. If you cannot be honest with you, you will not be able to be honest with others or God. So be honest with you first. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? How is my body responding to that? And why? Number 3, do you know where you're going? If you do, awesome. If you don't and it feels fuzzy, but you know you're supposed to be going in some direction, awesome. Both spaces have spaces of creativity. However, if you have a clear vision of like, okay, I know I'm going to get to this point, even if whether it looks like exactly what you're thinking when you get there, but you know that you're supposed to go there, use that as a driving force. And if you're not 100% sure, but you're feeling called, you're feeling led to go into a certain direction, as unknown as it seems, use this as a space of as much creativity and openness to what God has for you. And learn as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. And 4, with all of those things, how are you stewarding over your season of transition? Some days are harder than others. Some days are so fun. Some weeks are so fun. Months are so fun. Years are so fun. Okay? But it's not always going to be like that. It's not always going to be like that. I know that I don't always have days where I'm even feeling like getting out of bed. But I remember this call. And I'm willing to keep pushing forward, even if it means taking a break for a day and getting a bleeder and pushing forward. So ask yourself those questions. Answer them in the comments below, or when you see clips on my social media from this episode, post them in the comments on those reels. You can also go on Spotify or wherever you listen to, and if they have a comment section, feel free to answer them there. But I really want us to be good stewards. Whether we know every little detail of our routine because we've done it every day for the last 10 years, or if we're kind of in this ambiguous world of discovery, we're moving from a point A to point B. As long as we keep going, we take time to rest as well. Shabbat is important. And we get up and do it again. It's worth it. I'll leave you with this. I had a dear friend of mine recently. His name's Festus. And not recently, he actually told me this last summer. But we were talking and he said, girl, go out there and make the worst podcast ever. That was last year about this time. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, getting started will probably not look the way you want it to. And that's okay. You get to start and you get to evolve over time. But yeah, just let it suck. Just let it be whatever. And put that thing out and watch yourself grow. So here I am a year later, taking that advice. The advice to make the worst podcast ever, in hopes that this season and the seasons to come will help you evolve, transform, and become the absolute best version of yourself that you were called and created to be for this world and beyond. What we learn in this life is an opportunity to share with those coming up behind us, so they are not left in the dark in areas that we were given light. So when we're long gone, that light is passed on. That's why we do First Paso. Paso a paso, step by step. We are gaining light, not to hoard, but to share. And this is why we come together, taking first pasos in hopes that we become the best versions of ourselves. Because someone outside of us needs us to be our best, so they have the light gifted to them and they become their best. No one is self-made. I don't care what anyone tells you. No one is self-made. With that, thank you so much for listening to today's episode, for watching today's episode. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or anything, feel free to reach out to me. All that information is in the description below or in the show notes below. And I hope to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Fill out an application on my website. Also, the link is down below. If you would like to be a guest on the show and share about your season of transition, I can't accept all applications, but putting in an application would at least give you an opportunity to possibly be selected. So I would love to hear from you. And our community here, First Pasitos, we would love to have you share what would help us all make better steps moving forward. So with that being said, guys, I love you. Take care. Stay safe. God bless. And looks like we're going to do this soon. Bye.